The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the holographic images flickered into view. Bella stood frozen at her station aboard the UES Vengeance, her knuckles white against the console. The colony of New Terra, 3 million souls, had been reduced to ash and bone. "They killed them all," she whispered, her voice barely carrying across the bridge. "Every single one." Feroz moved beside her, his jaw clenched so tightly she could hear his teeth grinding. The young tactical officer had family on New Terra. Had family. Past tense now. The Zinthari Dominion had made certain of that. "Captain's calling an emergency briefing," Feroz said, his voice hollow. "All senior staff." The briefing room felt suffocating despite its size. Captain Morrison stood at the head of the table, his weathered face carved from granite. Behind him, the evidence played on loop. Zinthari warships glassing the colony from orbit, their weapons turning homes and hospitals into molten craters. "The Galactic Council is calling for restraint," Morrison said, his voice dripping with contempt. "They want diplomatic solutions, sanctions, strongly worded condemnations." Bella felt something dark and primal stirring in her chest. Around the table, she saw the same expression on every face, the look of predators remembering they had teeth. "And our orders, sir?" Feroz asked. Morrison's smile was terrible to behold. "Earth Command has issued new directives. We're done playing by their rules. The Council spent 2 centuries trying to civilize us, trying to make us forget what we are." He leaned forward, his eyes blazing. They're about to remember why humanity clawed its way to the top of the food chain on a death world. The Zinthari had made a fatal miscalculation. They had assumed that humanity's decades of peaceful coexistence meant they had gone soft. They had mistaken civilization for weakness, diplomacy for cowardice. They had forgotten that humans had spent millennia perfecting the art of war before they ever reached the stars. Bella's fingers danced across her console as the Vengeance dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Zinthari home system. Around them, the void came alive with humanity's answer to genocide. 30 warships materialized from the darkness, and these were not the sleek diplomatic vessels humanity had shown the galaxy. These were ugly, brutal things, weapons wrapped in armor plating designed with only one purpose. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "The Zinthari Defense Fleet is demanding we withdraw." "Tell them," Morrison said quietly, "that we're done being civilized." The battle that followed would be studied for generations, not for its tactical brilliance, but for its sheer, terrifying efficiency. Humans fought the way their ancestors had fought, with calculated brutality, with weapons designed to maximize devastation, with the cold determination of a species that had survived ice ages and supervolcanoes. Bella watched her targeting solutions paint the enemy ships in crimson. Each lock represented hundreds of Zinthari lives. She felt no hesitation as her finger hovered over the firing stud. "For New Terra," she whispered, and pressed down. The Vengeance's railguns spoke with the voice of thunder, hurling tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds. The Zinthari shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, might as well have been tissue paper. The first enemy dreadnought split in half, its atmosphere venting in a brilliant flash of crystallizing oxygen. Feroz coordinated the fighter wings with mechanical precision, his voice never wavering as he sent squadron after squadron into the meat grinder. The Zinthari had numbers, but humanity had rage tempered by 300,000 years of evolutionary warfare. "They're retreating," someone called out. "The defense fleet is breaking formation." "Pursue," Morrison ordered. "Show them what it means to make an enemy of Earth." The hunting packs of human warships chased the Zinthari fleet through their own system, past their colonies, past their mining stations. They broadcasted the footage of New Terra on every frequency, ensuring every Zinthari civilian could see what their government had done. As the last enemy warship went dark, its engines shattered by missile fire, Bella found Feroz standing at the observation window. His reflection in the reinforced glass looked older somehow, carved by grief and vengeance. "Did you ever think," he asked quietly, "that we'd become this again?" Bella moved beside him, watching the debris field spin in the light of the alien sun. "We never stopped being this. We just forgot for a while." The galactic news feeds were already exploding with condemnation. The council members called humanity barbaric, uncivilized monsters. They demanded trial, sanctions, isolation. But Bella heard the fear beneath their words, saw it in the way their fleets retreated from human space. Captain Morrison's final transmission to the council was brief. You spent 2 centuries teaching us to be civilized. You made us believe in diplomacy, in law, in the peaceful resolution of conflicts. We learned those lessons well, but you forgot to teach our enemies the same lessons. The Zinthari committed genocide and you offered thoughts and prayers. So now we're going back to the old ways, not because we're monsters, but because civilization only works when everyone agrees to be civilized. The moment someone breaks that contract, the moment someone decides that might makes right and innocent lives are acceptable losses, that's when humanity stops being civilized and starts being human again. As the Vengeance set course for Earth, Bella understood the terrible truth that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity hadn't become peaceful because they had evolved beyond violence. They had become peaceful because they had mastered violence so completely that they understood its costs, and when forced to pay those costs again, they would do so with the efficiency of a species born from a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. The Zinthari had wanted to see humans as prey. Instead, they had awakened predators, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.